So the show has also been renamed. I don't remember what it's called.
Now that the kid's asleep.
Yeah, now that the kid's asleep. Okay, I gotta write
So
that down.
so you just named it?
Basically, yes. So I was like, what am I gonna call the show now? Because I can't call it until my battery dies. Because, spoiler alert, the batteries have been replaced with permanent power solutions.
Oh, I see.
So I can't call it that.
It'll never die and will never stop being live.
Yeah, and so basically now the stipulation is we can't roll until the kid's asleep. So there you go.
Right.
It's a great story, and I'm glad that you took it in like that.
Oh, hi, it's me, Mike Pence.
What the fuck? We had
Can I
Mike.
be on your show? I lost my job.
No, we want to. We want to get Mike Pants back on. Calling Mike Pants.
He lost his phone.
Crap. I remember him having some difficult times. He's probably still living with his father in
Yep,
that trailer.
I assume.
Yup.
Maybe they've upgraded to a double wide.
Still a trailer.
Fancy.
No one ever does a double long. I would do
This
a
is
double.
my very long house.
Yeah, like if you're gonna put him, in a trailer park or wherever, instead of going double wide, how about double long? So, let's say you're living with someone, and you really want to drive home the fact that you don't want to sleep anywhere near them. You're doubling the distance you can go.
It's true.
And plus, let's say you're doing it and you're living there like with a friend. Let's say you're renting. Those things, the walls are paper thin. So the further you can go, like the more feet you can literally put between each other, the less likely you'll be able to hear them clearly jacking it.
But what if you make some sort of yanking it echo chamber?
Here's the thing. If I were living, like, let's say you and I are living in this hypothetical, like, human centipede of a trailer. If we
Okay.
could not afford 3 and we could just do 2, our rooms would be at the very polar opposite sides, and in the middle would be things, soft furnishings and stuff, things that absorb sound as they. So here's, whatever our rooms are gonna be, they'll be. But when they hit like a carpeted area or something with a nice soft sofa in it, it'll dampen the noise, so it'll be like less. Less rhythmic baloney shuffling.
We could do some of that nice 70s shag carpet on the walls.
I'm you say that, but I wouldn't go shag. I would do like
Oh, a nice
wood
Berber.
paneling. I would do wood paneling. I love a 70s wood paneled wall. However, I would not go laminate. If I do this, if we get this trailer, Andy, from my half over is going to be like solid, if not mahogany, then at least oak paneling. Boom, stem to stern.
You just made this the most expensive trailer anyone's ever purchased.
Well,
So you buy it and then you get it installed. So you buy it for super cheap and then
yeah, like but that's the thing. If we're living in this trailer, I'm making it nice.
Why are we living in a trailer again?
Because we're human centipeding it. Here's the thing. I had this idea. Speaking of trailers, I thought, well, in a perfect world, I'd love to get a bunch of money and like build an or like a detached from my house studio that's like air conditioned or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's like building permits and yada yada. If I just bought like a used Slipstream trailer and just had like an extension cord plugged into the house, I could just like soundproof that and park it in the side yard, and they can't be like, hey, you can't park that there. I'm like, what? It's a thing. Like
It's a thing. Hey, guys.
Sure, it's a working studio, but it's also just a camper, so you couldn't be like
right.
If I wanted to, I could take it somewhere, but right now it's just sitting there being a studio.
Yeah.
It's my on-the-go studio. I take it to places I think will be interesting.
Yeah, plus, like, that would be awesome. Like, you could take it on the road, number one. Number two, wouldn't you be, like, if you got invited onto a show and it ushered you into one of those, like, aluminum Twinkies, those classic Slipstream trailers. Let's say I tiki it up. Let's say I 50s it up. Let's say I go really heavy on the aesthetic. I think that would be badass. Like, nice velvet curtains, maybe, like, real plush.
This is real plush trailer
Oh, yeah.
area.
This started out as a joke, but God forbid I ever get rich, because I would have a studio slipstream. Like, no kidding. How many people we got here, by the way?
We have 3 and 2 likes.
3 and 2 likes. Okay.
You want another like? Here you go.
We need at least 4 likes to be one person. So we need 4 likes and 4 people, 3 people and 8 likes. So it gets complicated the less
Right,
people
it
we
gets
have.
more and more impossible.
Yeah. So we need more people and less likes is what the problem is. Has Mod Kayla showed up?
Negative.
Has anybody sounded off in the typing square?
My mother
Can
is
everybody
here.
Can everybody hear our guest?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not asking
I can hear
you.
me.
You can hear you.
Oh God, I'm my own tone deaf.
That'd be funny if, like, you were listening back to a recording and you're like, why is nobody filling the silence? You just can't hear yourself. It's a very one-sided interview.
It just sounds like Dave talking to themselves, and everybody's looking at me like I'm insane.
I'm gonna message Kayla.
Okay. Oh, yeah, so when the camera fades up, I'm using my Z6 with the lens I'm borrowing from my buddy Pete. The color, but like the white balance is a little different, but it's mega clear. Nice full frame. Low light performance is terrific. It really shows how disgustingly strange the shape of my beard is forming into.
Good.
I don't get it. It's I mean, if you look, you'll see. But it's like, what? Why is that happening?
What?
What? I gotta
Because he's given up. He's using his beard now as a child's toy, place to hold those little alcohol nibs.
nibs.
Yeah, isn't that what they call those small bottles?
Oh, are they called nibs? I guess, yeah. No, I keep those in like a big necklace around my, like the
Oh.
Hulk when he was
The
hanging
Jimmy
out.
Buffett method.
Yeah, essentially. Most running around holding 2 frozen margaritas. Well, anybody else joined?
No, I'm listening to the Linkin Park that's being played outside of our house. In the end.
It doesn't even matter.
Yep.
Is that maybe that's a Trump guy taking down his flag and getting ready to burn
yeah,
it?
he might. If I look out the window, maybe I'll see a dude like slowly climbing up like a 6-foot aluminum ladder, and like his son holding a flashlight and like saluting the Trump 2020 flag as "In the End" plays by Linkin Park on a boombox. God rest ye, merry Trump, you'll men.
Holds it up, burns it.
Yeah, no, they both eat it like the Simpsons
no.
Australia episode. Oh man, what a time to be alive!
I'm just wondering what's going to happen. Like, I haven't seen any of the flags for the last 2 days.
I've seen the flags here, so I don't know what's going to happen. But who knows? We'll see. It'll be a. Hopefully, it's not something too crazy. Oh, I forgot to add the logo. Hold on. We'll wait. Once I get the logo done, we'll roll. Because I mean, we're burning daylight here. People want a show.
There is no daylight. The sun went down at 5.
We're burning nightlight here. People want a show. And in the end, it doesn't really matter.
Munch.
Nom, 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 nom.
You let go at the last minute, boy. I don't want to kiss you and make you gay.
Oh, not gay. No homo. No homo.
A weird guy saying that to his son as he's hugging
No
him.
homo. No homo. I mean, you sound
Dad,
like,
we're in front of the school.
yeah, no homo. All right, son. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for reminding me we aren't gay. Oh, now I got to put it here, too. Oh, my good Lord. All right, everybody, we're just about ready. Please, I appreciate the patience and other, and other old-timey turn-of-the-century names. Let me just get this fixed up. Do you have the thing queued up, Chris? I hope.
Don't
The
we
whole movie,
always?
The Thing.
Our
Welcome to our
classic.
watch along.
Yeah, we're gonna be watching The Thing. I hope you enjoy.
It's the perfect Thanksgiving movie.
It will not be copyright claimed, so do not worry. Hold on one sec. Okay, let's do this. Go ahead and let's hit that thing, Krista. Hit it.
You're
that thing.
listening to FFOP
Don't
Radio.
talk to the intro.
Is it so quiet?
Reach the
It's
eye.
quiet.
It's like the same as the movie says. Stop talking.
I want more of it. It doesn't feel loud enough. Hey everybody and welcome to the show. My name is Dave, and now that my kid is asleep, we can have a show. You may have heard me.
Have a show.
You may have heard me earlier explaining why the name of the show has changed, and if you didn't, go back because I don't want to explain it again. Let me
pretty
introduce
self-explanatory.
you. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. But if you want to know the mythology, I wrote a Gilgamesh-style epic that I have posted to my blog. That is a lie.
Gilgamesh-style epic about two bros. Just two bros.
That's what Gilgamesh is, man. It is a story of two bros. It is Gilgamesh and Enkidu all the way.
See, I like it, like, whenever I say his name, it's Enkidu.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
it's hard. Everybody calls him Enkidu, but it's I try to remind myself it's Enkidu because it sounds cooler.
Like a child's PBS character.
Enkidu.
Learn with Enkidu.
Yeah, and he's listen. Let's move right along. Let's introduce everybody. Of course, in studio. Let me fade her in on the camera feed here. Zing, there she is. Bam, there's Krista.
Hi.
Andy is also on the show.
Zing.
Say hello to Andy.
Hello to Andy.
So Andy, let's talk about Gilgamesh. I didn't know you read Gilgamesh.
Yeah, a very long time ago.
So what did you do it recreationally or was it for a class?
For a class.
Okay. Well, any way you read it, I think it's a good, a good excuse. There's no reason not to read the Epic of Gilgamesh because it's very short.
Certainly better than the Odyssey.
Right? Here's the thing about the Epic of Gilgamesh. The story structure is bonkers, obviously, because like written language and everything, there's no structure for it. So I'll forgive that. But it cuts through a lot of the crap. There's not a lot of description. There's not a lot of time wasted. It's just action. Whereas I feel the Odyssey can be a bit meandery.
True. I had to give a bunch of high schoolers a quiz about the Odyssey, and I hadn't read it in years.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the Odyssey gets so much play as like the classic that we all have to read. I would have rather read Gilgamesh as a kid, but then we couldn't have watched the Armand Assante Odyssey that everybody watched.
I
true.
never saw anything.
You never watched the Odyssey in anything
I
at
never
school?
had to read the Odyssey in school.
What?
What?
That
Jealous.
is crazy.
I read Tale of Two Cities. I read To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in the Rye. I never read the Odyssey. The Giver,
That's nuts. Oh my
Grapes
god.
of Wrath.
Grapes
I-
of Wrath.
I really skated on reading in high school. Like we didn't have to read a lot of the classics, and I even did a book report on a Resident Evil novelization.
Oh,
Nice.
good.
Yeah, I did. S.D. Perry was the author. I know because I did a book report on this. The novelization of the second game, so RE2.
Okay.
S.D.
That was my
Perry.
question. Was it a novelization of a game or a novelization of the movie, which is based on the game?
No, this was before the movies. I was in high school. So I read all the novelizations too. And I honestly, they're pulp, they're garbage, they're junk food. I liked them. I liked Code Veronica. I thought it was shitty, but I liked it. I think number 2 was written well. I think they were all, I went back and read them all. They were all written very well. But that being a lens of a high school student, also an idiot. So might be worth a second look. So Andy, we're putting the reason we're doing this show is we are celebrating the coming of, the changing of the guards, the coming of a new era. Hey,
You're right. My PlayStation 5 has shipped. Goodbye, PlayStation 4.
No,
I will
don't
miss you.
care about your PlayStation 4. The name of the show changed. That's the reason.
Oh.
Ding dong. Now that
It's basically the same. Like, I could call it New Coke and not change anything inside of it.
right, but this is completely different because instead of waiting, with bated breath for the battery to die, afraid that every second that ticks by, did he charge it again? Did he remember this time? Now we can go on for infinity. But it happens after my kid goes to sleep, so it's a more accurate moniker.
I mean, your kid does wake up eventually, so you can't go infinity. I mean, your kid does wake up eventually, so you'll have to give him sleeping pills? I mean, your kid does wake up eventually, and you draw closer to death with each breath, so you need to start training him to go on for infinity.
Yeah, probably. But, he probably won't want to take up the mantle of this show. He'll have his own thing. He'll probably have his own Instagram. He'll do whatever.
What do people on Instagram do?
I have no idea. Every social media platform does its own thing. And I think you just settled to where you are most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am a blabbermouth, so I need a platform that allows me to do that. That's why I stick to Facebook, because pictures are nice on Instagram, and I like to do that with funny videos. I like to I like to every so often go to Twitter and fire off, 140 character jabs or like post something. That's fine and dandy, but you cannot limit me to a character, anything, whatever.
Yeah.
If there's a limit, it is too bad. I cannot stick to it. So
I'm automatically more verbose the more you limit me.
yeah, that's my problem. And people get around that by doing those insanely long chains. They're like, oh, this is a Twitter chain. I don't want to read like one sentence per inch and have it scroll. That's annoying. Like, whatever. I realize that that's where we are, but I don't want to eat my meal like 1p at a time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So Andy,
Ooh.
there's so
Oh,
many people on the
I see.
show have very similar names.
Randy, Andy, Adam.
Randy, Andy, Adam, RJ, PJ, fucking.
See, out of my friend circle, we have 4 people whose names start with A, and one of them just changed her name and chose a name that starts with A.
Why did she change her name?
Because
For fun?
that is a very long story about her super insane mother. This is the mother that when the lady lived with me said that demons were punching her in my house.
Okay, yeah, okay.
She broke off all contact with that and was like, my mother gave me my name and I'm going to take that away from her too.
Wow, that's a very big bridge to burn.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you got to do it. So whatever.
But why would you we already have problems with doing the mom thing where you cycle through names?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. The more inclusive and the more progressive and the more whatever you get, the more splintered everybody becomes. And I eventually just tire of the whole thing. Like, I get everybody wants to express themselves, but keep in mind, is that you get so little time between now and the snuffing of your candle. Get over shit quicker and move on.
Oh, I'll try. Here I go.
Did it
My
work?
grudges.
Did it work?
Yeah, my grudges are all gone.
I'm not saying let go of all your grudges, but I'm saying, if you do have a grudge, don't let it bother you. If it comes up, you can be like, aha, I have a grudge, so no.
So now I have a copy of Sarah Michelle Gellar's The Grudge.
Yeah, so always remember, if someone comes up to you and do you have a grudge? You'd be like, yes.
Let's say
At
that's not the
least one
Japanese
copy.
verse. It'd be like, the Japanese verse isn't called The Grudge, you idiot.
It's called the grudge you? I feel
It's
like
called Ju-on.
Ju-on. That was close. Ju-on, grudge you?
I drove 2 hours to see that in a very small movie theater in Sacramento.
Why?
Because I liked Japanese horror at the time.
Oh, so that was the only. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about the original one. That was the only place it was available. I was like, why
Yeah.
would you did you want to do it so far away from home that no one would recognize you?
No one will see me.
Like there's Andy in like the Groucho glasses and mustache with the collar up. He looks like, remember now this, you're gonna get this reference, Andy. Do you remember the Donatello Ninja Turtle figure where he was in the trench coat and he had the rubber face that made him look like a dude?
Yes, I do.
Favorite action figure, that would be you. You're like, one for this crazy movie, and they're like, oh, you're a weirdo. What are you, a turtle? And you're like, oh, run away.
Now, David, if you run out of things to talk about within the next 10 minutes, I did send you a 30-minute compilation of all the Ghostbusters.
I did see that. Yeah, there's a
That should probably be a different show, right?
yeah. Like, I want to do another '90s commercial-a-thon, but between now and then, I think the most requested one was '80s, so we'll have to do that. There's a channel out there on YouTube called '80s Commercial Vault, but they have more than '80s. And it seems like maybe it's hipsters or maybe it's whatever. Like if I had the time and the money and the energy and the intel and the know-how, maybe I would do this too. But there are people putting together like classic compilations of like really high quality copies of these old commercials and adding their own like commercial content, like satirical stuff in between, like for non-existent products or whatever. And, you know, as a piece of art, I got to be like, wow, but it's a lot of time to spend on like a Cheerios commercial from 1993.
Yeah.
I love it, but
from Mondo. So not from Mondo. Can't remember the name of the theater in Texas. That is like a sit-down theater. It was very popular. They put out this DVD that I bought that's just 2 hours of Grindhouse trailers.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think somebody I knew had
The
those.
Alamo Draft House did it. There we
Yeah.
go.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think you can also find chunks of those on YouTube, I'm sure.
And some of those are just super wild. And I love old 70s narrators because they always sound like this.
Yeah. They just find that one guy. Like if you hit that genetic lottery and you somehow pop out with a voice that sounds like your throat is full of gravel, you'll always have money. It's
He came to a white man's town carrying black man's law.
Are those aren't like, we couldn't do like a watch party of those, right? Like those aren't like public domain.
I think I
maybe
have
we
a whole
could.
YouTube channel here, David.
Okay, so maybe we could.
That is just the Grindhouse movies.
Okay, so yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We keep, every time I do a stream where like there's production value where you watch one of those commercials, it gets copyright claimed by a bot, which doesn't affect anything, but it's always funny to me where it's weird what it will choose, because we watched like 2.5 hours of commercials with, you know, licensed music and shit, but the one thing it grabbed was a Herb Alpert song from an American Express commercial. It's like,
Jeez.
oh, Herb Alpert's ghost is claiming this via a robot. I'm like, all right, well, sorry.
Let him.
Not making money off it anyway. It's for goofs.
Yeah. We're so sorry we made a penny off of your.
Oh, we haven't made shit. Like our channel isn't monetized because I don't. I think the thing that was great about YouTube and the reason I want to keep it unmonetized is YouTube doesn't know when to put commercials in. You can tell them when. Like if you design a show and you say put them here, 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 and here, that's one thing. But most people who do that don't plan, and even if they do, sometimes YouTube is just like, whatever, we'll do it whenever we want.
Yeah.
Which is the most annoying thing in the world. I don't want anything I produce to be interrupted in a way that I did not plan.
Like in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, so annoying. One of the true crime shows I watched, like his shit's monetized, but it's just like a blunderbuss of when like we'll just, whenever it blasts through the film, we'll play an ad. And it's like, it's always when they're about to announce like the verdict or like when they got hung or whatever, and it was like the foreman stood up and he announced his verdict to the jury. Hey, here with Downey, we got a ball of shit. We're gonna throw it into the dishwasher. Oh, what the fuck? And then you gotta
can't
sit.
skip it.
Yeah, through an unskippable 5 seconds of like this blue balls of a happy lady being like, you know, New Dawn. It's so effective. Less soap. And I'm like, who's the murderer? You fuck. Not that we'll ever have anything as high stakes as that, but it's still annoying.
I do like whenever I'll be searching for something in particular, like a tutorial to do something, or like I'm stuck in a game, and I'll click on a YouTube video, and it shows me how many ads there are on like the timeline, and it's 20 for like a 5-minute clip. Like, nah, I'll find someone else.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's why, whatever. I think YouTube is the perfect place for a sink or swim type situation. Like if you show up and you say, hey, I'm here, please give me money, or you're just doing it for the laughs or whatever. Like if the money comes to you, great. But it's so, I hate commercials, whatever.
Here's the link to our GoFundMe.
Yeah, please help. No, no, I don't care. Like I've already got all the gear and stuff. So if, it's just, it's whatever. We're just hanging out. Also, I'm getting back into 3D printing. If you can see these typing square, I got these little pugs I just printed out. If you want one of these, I've got 2 of them. Say I want one in the typing square, and I'll send you one. It'll cost like $1 to send it to you, and there it is. And I don't need them in my house because I can print more. I wanted to print the surprised Buddhas because that's the patron saint of my church, but this was a shorter print. Oh man!
So do you have the same? Like I've got a buddy.
Yeah.
A buddy of a buddy. Let's say that, who is constantly trying to 3D print like gigantic props from video games, and they're always seeming to fuck up.
Yeah. So most of the time when you see 3D printed big props like that, they've either got like one of these big FL sort of Delta printers, which can do these big things and quickly, but then you have to put a lot of work into the back end because the faster the print, the sloppier the print. So the bigger the printer, the faster typically, but also the sloppier and the more, the more you're going to have to like sand and paint and yada, yada, yada. But then you can print like pieces and put it together, but then it's 6 in one, half dozen in the other.
Yeah.
That's the thing about 3D printing is like it's this bizarre world of tinkerers and artists who are trying to get each other to understand like, no, I want to make a thing, and the other guy's like, I don't care. Like here's the most diagnostically appropriate way to do this, but it's like always shitty looking. And plus, but whatever, everything's free. Like if you go to Thingiverse, everything you could ever want to print is free. For $20, you could print off a zillion Christmas presents.
All I'm saying is that every time I see someone, it's like, why do you buy those like Warhammer models? I could 3D print those for you. And then they bring me a sample. It's like, that looks like a faceless mannequin doll.
Right. You really have to be into it to print good miniatures. Like I could probably print you some, but that's what like a 3D printer is like that. It becomes it's the Christmas present generator from the Garfield Christmas special. Like you can pull that lever as many times as you want, as long as you keep a spool of plastic on there. You can keep cranking toys out of that thing.
Yeah,
and I did.
This time of year, guys, everybody, David is required to mention every single Garfield Halloween, Garfield Thanksgiving, like in order.
I have to, or in order of relevance. So Halloween, I will not reference again, but Thanksgiving one will come up, I'm sure. But that's okay. How about this? Here's another one. It's like the Ernest Saves Christmas Santa's bag. You know, when she puts her hand, or whoever puts their hand in the bag, it's always a glowing ball of light, and then it goes wing, and it becomes a Raggedy Ann doll or whatever.
Yeah.
I was so covetous of that, but that's what this is also.
I've never seen an Ernest movie.
The Ernest Saves Christmas is one of the good ones.
The other ones that are I approve of Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yes. Ernest Goes to Camp.
And I've never really been a fan of Ernest Goes to Camp.
Really?
I do like Ernest Goes to Jail, where they do in fact try to execute him, but somehow it gives him superpowers.
Like the Ernest Goes to Camp and Ernest Goes to Jail get unnecessarily dark for Ernest movies.
Well, and like there was a thing on Amazon the other day where it was like, oh, here's a collection of Ernest appearances and stuff, and I was like, that's a really weird thing, and I clicked on it, It's just that dude doing car commercials all over the U.S.
Yeah. So when I was a kid,
Arnie.
I had 2 VHSs because the Ernest character was not a character created by Jim Varney. It was a character created by Don Cherry Advertising. So he sold lemonade, orange juice, cars, milk, you name it, new grocery bags. I had so many commercials with him, but that's the thing. His character was created by Don Cherry Advertising, and Don Cherry wrote all those Ernest movies.
Even even Ernest Scared Stupid, like, oh, we've stolen all these children's souls.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about it is it wasn't, he was never like a children's character. He was not like a Pee Wee Herman. He wasn't like a, he was not workshopped. Some dude in an advertising agency was like, this guy, he'll say, hey, Vern a lot, and we'll make him do zany things like smash a clock radio with a hammer, or like he'll like take a swig of something and go, hey, the thing he always does. And the fact that he took off, listen, I thank you for whatever making Jim Varney famous in that way, but I think it sucked because Jim Varney, I think, was a better actor than the Ernest character pigeonholed him as.
Well, yeah, and once he became Ernest, there was no coming back. The only work he could get was as a slinky dog where they couldn't see his face.
Right.
The only work they could get was as Buzz Lightyear, but then Tim Allen knocked him out and took the role.
It's true.
The only work he could get was stealing the suits from Troll 2 to be in Ernest Scared Stupid.
And it worked. I can't believe,
Or maybe they're the Killer Clowns.
No, it was both. It was that's part of the trivia is like they are both the Troll 2 costumes and the Killer Clown costumes just repainted. But yeah, that movie, when it came out, I thought it was a legitimate horror movie. I was scared. All my friends saw it and were like, it's so funny. And I'm like, but are you kidding me? Like, it's so scary. Like, the main troll is scary AF. He steals kids and turns them into wood statues and hides them places. I could do like an Ernest trilogy breakdown. Like, we could do Scared Stupid, Goes to Camp, and Goes to Jail.
Yeah.
Like, those are the 3 crowns, or the 3 jewels in that crown.
I don't know that I've ever seen Ernest Saves Christmas. Is it another thing where does Ernest hurt Santa and then have to become a Santa-like figure?
No, it's much simpler. Like, it's the classic, like, oh, the Santa who comes to this mall is actually really Santa, and there's like a misunderstanding, and he goes to jail for some reason, and Ernest has to break him out, and he teams up with a girl who reminds me of Phoebe from Gremlins.
No, Phoebe Cates?
Yes, but I don't think it's her, and she's
Ernest
like super corrupt.
Saves
Yeah.
Christmas, 1988. I would have been 4 when all this was happening.
I loved
was
Ernest Scared Christmas. I love Ernest Saves Christmas. I would not put it in the top 3 because I think that Christmas movies have a half-life that does not extend as far as Halloween movies for me.
Yeah.
We used to watch the Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
They made us watch. I remember wanting to revolt because like it was 6th grade, and it was like close to Christmas time, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna spend a day watching Santa Claus with Tim Allen," and I hate that movie. And I was like, "Can't we just be learning something?"
That movie is darker than you would think because it posits
Santa dies.
But not only that, but it posits that when Santa dies, another man is cursed to walk the land as Santa Claus.
Until he dies.
Yep.
And do you have to get killed? Because what if he dies in his sleep? Does the wheel spin and like the Santa hat shoot off into the night and find somebody?
Yeah.
Is a lottery?
You put on the coat, and it's like, put on my coat, the reindeer will know what to do. Tim Allen, you should have called the police.
Yeah, and number 1, like, let's say we're going to give in to the suspension of disbelief. Why would you need to read a card to understand what it's like to be Santa? Like, hello, you're in a Disney movie. Everybody knows who the fuck Santa is, what he does, and the like. You don't need to be like, oh, this is how to be Santa? Huh? Come on, man. I get it for like whatever. Adjusting to living with elves, I get. But don't be like, how does this Santa thing work? Like around the world in 80 days? No, one night? Oh my gosh, toys. Oh, come on. You know this, Tim.
My mom said it kept me believing one more year, though, and the first one was by far the best.
Which one?
That is true. I have
Santa
seen like
Claus.
by the time you get to the third one, who do they have? It's Martin Short.
Yeah,
I
and he's
don't
playing
even-
like Jack Frost.
I don't remember seeing the other ones.
I think I just saw the first one. But, whatever. It's okay. As far as like Christmas movies, it's middle of the road. It's like Christmas with the Cranks. It's like one and done. Whatever.
Hey, we're up. Hey, do you know what time it is?
Pizza
It's
time?
time to
Total
never endingly watch the Christmas Story for some reason.
Okay, do you think that the Christmas Story is overrated?
Yes.
I enjoyed the movie the first time I saw it, and then they were like, now it's time for marathons every Thanksgiving. Booking.
I feel like the Christmas Story is essentially like Monty Python of Christmas. Like its fans have become so rabid and vicious and annoying that it ruins it. I cannot enjoy A Christmas Story because it's constantly quoted, like let it. Well,
I get it. I get, it's a good movie for what it is, but I wouldn't care to never watch it again.
Right. I don't know. To me, it's like Karate Kid. I don't see the appeal. Aside
Well,
from
Daniel-san kicks once. That's all he really does is kick one guy.
But aside from like the goggles of nostalgia, the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, and being like, this is something I saw as a kid, divorcing it from that, if you were just to watch it, I find nothing whatsoever interesting in it.
But David, Karate Kid 2 has one of my favorite overacting scenes, and it's right at the beginning
Which one?
where the evil karate man comes out and he's gonna fight Mr. Miyagi,
Oh, yeah.
and he keeps on
And he
making him
punches
punch windows,
the
and like every
glass,
time the guy
yeah.
pulls away his bloody hand, he's like, oh
Yeah, Cove. Yeah, he does that. Spoiler alert. Not that not that every movie is basically a human centipede of the last one, but they literally replay that like 2 or 3 times in the third one also.
Oh.
Like,
But it's super great.
yeah, I do like that. But whatever.
But I was talking with my wife the other day, and we were talking about movies that remind you of holidays, and I was saying, back when I was a wee young lad, every Thanksgiving ABC would run Wizard of Oz and Sound of Music. So
Really?
I associate those with Thanksgiving.
Huh. I don't really, aside from like the big Garfield specials as mentioned earlier.
There's a Charlie Brown one too, right?
Yeah, but
Thanksgiving?
Charlie Brown's before my time. Like that hit in the 60s, and so people in the 90s were feeling nostalgic for it.
I liked the Charlie Brown ones.
I never liked Peanuts. I thought they were really boring characters.
Really dry.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So dry. But whatever. It's not my thing. I'm more of a Garfield man because he's more
But he's also dry. He's
right, but
very-
he's dry and he's mean.
yeah.
That's
And
what
you gotta, every time David watches a Garfield special, Lorenzo Music's estate gets like $5.
I think Lorenzo Music is the greatest voice actor of my generation.
We also
I mean,
watch
he just did the same stuff like all the
Yeah,
time.
that's fine.
Pee-wee's Christmas special or whatever. Like
Yeah.
every year, David forces
Pee
me
Wee's
to
Christmas
watch it.
special is a big one to watch every year because it's got Everybody's Dead in it. Frankie
But
Avalon.
Muppet Christmas Carol.
Charo's not dead, is she?
Charo might not be dead, but we got Frankie Avalon, Nick Vincella, Grace Jones, Charo, what's her nuts, Katie Lang.
Is Charo dead? Wait, what?
No, no, these are all just the guests. Oprah is on the show.
My mom
Suzanne, what's her nuts?
Peanuts Christmas has a good message. I don't know what the message
Uh,
is. I don't remember.
It's about the crappy tree and how you should look past
Oh yeah.
being a crappy tree. That's the other thing I think has grown a little too cultish. Like the second they were like, "Hey, now you can buy a replica of Charlie Brown's sad ass tree."
Well, you could also
And,
buy the leg lamp.
I know that's the thing. When you start building these effigies, it goes beyond fandom, and now you have these graven images that you are now worshiping. Like it becomes culty then. Like but that's the thing. I don't know why those movies feel culty when they produce merchandise, but like the Ninja Turtles, if they produce something, it doesn't feel culty.
Don't know. I like, but what? You watched all of the Toys That Made Us, right?
No, I still have not.
What? Like, there's a great episode on the TMNT Toys where they finally get Eastman and Laird back together in the old room where they used to write together.
Yeah. I don't get me wrong. It's still on my list of things to watch, but it's a very long list.
And we only watch reruns.
And I only watch reruns.
And I'm telling you, the episode about the guys who made He-Man is just a bunch of guys who are high on cocaine the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we want to sell you this thing. Like, do you have a TV show? And the guy would be like, of course. And they'd look over at everybody and they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
You know, it's nuts. But that's, I don't know.
We were watching Thundercats the other day and I was like, what? This looks really, really familiar. It's Rankin Bass, like the guys who did the Last Unicorn and everything.
Oh, yeah. They did a lot of stuff, man. Like, they weren't just that stop motion Christmas stuff. They had some weird things.
The Animated Hobbit. The
Yeah.
Greatest Adventure.
I did not mind the Animated Hobbit. I was never a fan of any Tolkien, still not. But the Animated Hobbit, I did not mind. And I can't even tell you why. Like so let me ask you this. Do you remember those books where like it was the little monster and he goes on various adventures like to the beach or whatever? He's like a little hairy guy. That sort of pen and pencil.
Is it like, oh God, they're called like not the Critters, but
Maybe,
something like that.
Krista, Google something. Help.
Google Harry Monster book.
Yeah, like
Kids book.
Give me some Harry Monster book.
They're kids' books. I'm sure.
Ron Williams autobiography.
I'm sure moderator Kayla knows what I'm talking about.
She's not here.
Oh, what the hell?
Oh, like the just
Mercer
the little
Mayer.
critter.
Mercer Mayer.
Yeah,
like go
little
to the
critters.
Beach. Yeah, little critters.
He's like a little hedgehog or something.
Yeah, like they're very. It feels like
I used to have those.
most kids media nowadays feels very like rounded and very wholesome, and like the colors are not very drastic. They're very bright and there's not a lot of contrast. But these have that sort of gritty, like you can see the pen strokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not to go on a.
that's what the Rankin Bass stuff was. It was a grittier or an edgier looking, and I appreciate that more than having everybody look like a marshmallow.
Yeah, well, but you go into the Rankin Bass catalog, and all of it has just moments of abstract horror.
Mm-hmm.
Like The Last Unicorn is not. It's not.
That like The Last Unicorn.
Let's say abstract. I meant abject. But,
abject, yeah. But that's the thing. The Last Unicorn we talk about a lot because it was so influential on us, I'm sure. It is a impactful movie. If you watch it, it's one horrifying scene after another.
I've never seen it.
I'll have to show you. I've got a copy, and maybe we'll have to do a dissection of it because it is so interesting because it's all these famous people, it's famous musicians making this cartoon that is so stark and grim and unforgiving and sad and deeply sorrowful and also legitimately funny at times.
And then there's a titty harpy and a titty tree and
harpy and like there's implied sexual assault and there's like the subjugation of an entire species, let's say, by a single man. Like it's so deep, and like the dynamic between the not unstable, but like the uncertain wizard and this woman
the homely housemaid. I don't.
It's oh boy,
she gets all pissed off when she was like, why couldn't she, like the unicorn comes? She's like, why couldn't you come to me when I was young and beautiful?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Everything is so sad. Like that woman waited her entire life for this moment, and it's only because the unicorn is cursed that it's happening. And it's just sadness upon sadness upon sadness and subjugation. And like the moral of the tale is like, eventually the slaves rise up and revolt, and evil is slain. but it's this sad old man who just wanted to make a name for himself. He wanted to have the hero's journey, and then he's swallowed by the sea.
Yep.
So depressing.
Why
Like
do
And
we
his
wanna
son
watch it
hit-
if it's depressing?
it's a kids movie. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot like Watership Down was a kids movie.
I still have not seen Watership Down.
Enjoy the scenes of rabbits tearing each other's throats out.
Yeah, there are several instances of shocking and or jarring and or scarring children's media.
Pete's Dragon used to freak me out.
Pete's Dragon's a weird one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's also about a horrible drunk and a gang of hillbillies that buys a child.
Yeah, did you guys ever remember when Disney used to put out like live action kids movies like the Apple Dumpling Gang, that's what it was. Yeah, Don Knotts was always in these
Yeah.
I
The Incredible Mr. Limpet, where he decides he wants 5 seconds after becoming a fish, he's like, I gotta fuck this other fish.
remember when there were movies just about like surfing and having fun on a beach? Like it was so
Gidget?
fucking yeah, Gidget and like the aforementioned Frankie and Annette from the Pee Wee Herman Christmas special.
Uh-huh.
That's like there's never gonna be a Christmas special anymore. I don't feel.
Well, there's no person like Pee Wee Herman that would do
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, since celebrity has been changed and it's been spread across so many like platforms, I would, maybe I'll put a little more effort into a Christmas special than we did the Halloween special and have something.
That would be awesome. I love Christmas. I think Jack Black wouldn't do a bad job as a Christmas special if he because he's kind of a funny person, but he's not like Pee Wee Herman. But I think he could do a good job as a host.
Yeah, you would have to but you would have to do it like that. Like you would have to have the artifice. Like you would have to have, you've seen this, Andy. When he's like, oh, when Krusty the Clown's like, oh, you've caught me in my home. You look out the window and it's a bunch of key grips and shit. And you see the lights and shit out the window, and he's like,
It's like, oh, who's just arrived at our door?
oh, it's a congressman, whatever, like that kind of shit. Like I would love
Like
to
a Sonny
do
and
that.
Cher Christmas special.
Yes, like just set the living room up and just have like a revolving guest list of like people rolling through the house. Or maybe someone playing an organ the whole time.
Yeah.
I would need someone playing live Christmas music the whole time so I wouldn't get flagged for using somebody else's versions.
Get like a cheap Casio that you can download like music onto.
Well, I would need someone to wear like a nice tuxedo, like a Christmas version of a Paul Schaefer.
We don't have anybody like that.
There's always Craigslist.
Hi, I'm Christmas Paul Schaefer.
Yeah, like
I don't want some randos walking through our house with COVID.
no, we'll just go into like the organ store at the mall and wait for someone to walk in, and we'll hand them the business card and be like, "Hey, do you want to play a show?" And it'll be the first time they've ever heard that,
And
of
bring
course
your
they'll
organ.
say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an organ for you. Wink, wink.
Whoa, hey.
No, you would obviously go out and get the Casio.
Of course, yes.
But you have to secure the player first. I'm not going to invest in a $20 Casio unless I have somebody who,
I could
unironically.
learn. I used to play the keyboard.
Well, you would. I assume you would want to be like one of the hosts.
I could still talk and play.
That's
that's hard.
no, they didn't have Paul Schaefer did not sit next to David Letterman playing his keyboard, being like, the other day, David, he was far away. He just played music.
No. Paul Schaefer was on The Masked Singer.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
Oh my god.
My wife likes the show, so we've watched like 2 seasons of it, and this character appeared. Paul Schaefer was basically like this voodoo skeleton, and I was like, that's Dan Aykroyd. He's chubby. He sounds like Dan. He's singing Blues Brothers, and Dan can't sing anything else.
Yeah. And it was Schaefer.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what is the appeal? So somebody comes on, sings a song. You go, I think it was this person. You find out who it was. You go, ooh, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes they're really good singers, and like the first season, like you're not gonna watch it, so I'll just tell you.
You're right.
The first season winner was Will I Am, and I was like, what the fuck?
You win?
Yeah.
He won.
How do you win?
Everybody else gets eliminated.
So,
It's all like C-list celebrities that are on this show.
so it's a game show where they're basing your performance off of your singing, not who you are.
Yes.
So
Right.
That's
they
why you have
can't-
the
That's why
masks
you're
on.
They
masked.
can't be swayed. Here's the thing, though. Are they like you'd have to be an idiot not to be like, there's a famous person under that mask, so why like?
Well, they always guess famous people, but they get, like I said, they got Sarah Palin for one of the seasons. She was off in one show.
Oh, so it's like singing, dancing with the stars, essentially.
Kinda. I mean, the
Stars.
other season, we watched 2 seasons. One, the winner was Will I Am, and the other one was Wayne Brady.
Maybe this is like the gimmick, because wasn't there like, and maybe it's still a thing, but the lip sync battles, is that still a thing?
Oh, that
I don't
was
think
fun
it
to watch.
is. Did you watch New Supermarket Sweep yet?
No.
Yes.
It's
Did we?
it's disappointing to me how little narration. Like, I need that guy that's like, oh, Amy's going after the
Right.
hams. That's $2 a
And the
pound.
sweater.
Listen,
She doesn't have a sweater.
the comfort food aspect of game shows is how uncertain and sweaty the contestants are. You need a nice, friendly, not overly loud. You need someone white. You need a Pat Sajak. I can't remember his name, who did the old Supermarket Sweeper. I'd be saying his name, but he was practically perfect. He had the right amount of enthusiasm, and the scared people behind the things, were scared newlywed couples.
David Ruprecht.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, but now we've got Grace Jones, who I have nothing against, but she's coming in and being like, hey, y'all, it's Supermarket Sweep and shit. We got $250.
Grace Jones, I thought it was the lady from Saturday Night Live.
No. Yeah. Sorry, not Grace Jones. What's her name? Jones.
Leslie
Jones. Yes. Sorry. Jones. They both have Jones. Leslie Jones. And that's the thing. You need someone like who comes out in a Cosby sweater being like, hey, because it's a supermarket game.
Well, and
the guy from Nick Arcade.
Yes.
Yeah, and the people.
Or Mark Summer, who didn't want to be there.
Right. You
Yeah.
need someone with that right characteristic. They need to have that nice game show veneer. But then you turn around and you look at the contestants and they're all like Viners and desperate for attention.
Oh
So
my
they're all
God.
like, oh, hot damn, like licking their own nipples and
Overacting.
shit, like so desperate to get any sort of like credibility. Like, there's a camera on me. I gotta act like a fucking maniac. Like, that's not how you should act.
No.
Have some
But,
decorum.
The remake of Press Your Luck wasn't bad.
Listen, I'm not going to say that remakes of game shows are bad. I'm just going to say, when you take away the comfort aspect of the comfort food, what are we doing here?
Did you see the new Guy Fieri grocery
The
wars or
ripoff?
whatever
Yes,
it
no.
is?
See, when I worked at Target, they had Food Network on constantly, which they should just call the Fieri Network,
Oh, yeah.
because there's no other people that I ever saw on that
They're
network.
moneymaker. It's like, isn't it like just Guy Fieri and Chopped every once in a while?
Yeah.
I love Chopped so much.
Well, but even like,
Chopped
it's like Guy's Grocery Store Panic, and it's like, okay, you have to make foie gras with $30, and the guy would walk over and be like, oh, look, caviar for 50 cents. Like, what?
Yeah, whatever. But I think that's what people are overlooking. Game shows are for the type of person who likes to sit and veg and watch happy, whoever, a happy host root for everybody. Like, everybody roots for everybody. When everybody gets money, they all clap. Like, everybody is just like happy to be there.
Price is
Nobody.
Right.
Yeah. Like, nobody in the old Supermarket Sweep is like, oh, damn, bitch, I'm ready to make some money up in this shit, and then, like, twerk.
I'm gonna beat your ass
Yeah.
in this game.
It's like a frumpy looking housewife and her tall mulleted and like wispy mustached newlywed husband, and he'll go, hey, Joan, what do you do? She's like, I'm a teacher's aide in Wisconsin. He goes, great. Greg, what do you do? And he's like, I work in a warehouse. And he goes, okay, how would you like to win $50? That's all you need.
Yeah.
I don't need someone throwing up all like the whoop whoop and like the hit me up on Twitter, y'all. Like, just be happy to
Hashtag YOLO.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what to watch, David, but if you want an American Gladiator-esque experience, Ultimate Tag.
I was never an Ultimate Gladiators or American Gladiators fan, rather.
No,
No.
like all these people have characters, and they introduce them like whenever it's like, now it's time for the nerd. Nerd.
Yeah, that was the wrong type of cheese for me. I don't know. I tried it on multiple occasions. You would think that it would be right in my wheelhouse, but it just never grabbed me. Like Guts barely got me simply
I don't know
because Mike O'Malley was always like, "Hey Mo," and then Mo was like a Lilliputian because every time a kid would walk up, she'd have to hold the mic up to his face. How was it on the aggro, Craig?
How is it over there?
You're-
You cannot buy Guts, unfortunately.
You can't.
Cannot. You can buy Legends of the Hidden Temple and Nick Arcade on Amazon, which, if you
Oh.
look at the episode descriptions for Nick Arcade, somebody was paid to do those, maybe $5, and I was like, eh.
But let's be real. Like, is there an episode of Nick Arcade where you're like, "Oh yeah, that was my favorite"? Like,
Yes, I remember one that made me laugh very hard as a kid where a girl got the answer wrong to like the last question. Like all they needed was to get this right, and then the announcer goes, "You're not going away empty-handed," and they gave them Dum Dum Pops, which was very funny to me when I was 10.
oh yeah, those were Dum Dums, Blow Pops, and what do they call them? Whistle Pops or Toot Pops?
I don't know that one.
I can't tell you how many times I lacerated my lips on those slide whistle lollipops.
Oh, yeah.
What?
So I look them up. I think they were called Toot Pops or something. Whistle Pops, Toot Pops, something. But they were essentially a slide whistle made out of candy, and the stick was a plastic, woo woo.
Ugh.
And you would, immediately annoy your family for a little bit, and you take a bite and smash it into a million razor sharp pieces, and just completely like
It
a
looks like a
bouncing
Jolly
Betty goes off.
Rancher.
Say what?
Looks like a Jolly Rancher
Yeah.
on a tube.
Yeah, and it completely lacerates the inside of your face. What was it called?
Whistle pop.
Whistle Pops. Yes. Yeah, and there was a little cartoon bird on there.
Oh, yeah.
Those ring pops.
Well, that's the best part about those 90s commercials and 80s commercials you were talking about is how radical some of them get.
Oh yeah,
When explaining something like a
colors.
whistle pop, it'll be like a cool bird with sunglasses.
What the like skip it. It was all of these like insane
I used to have a
shapes.
skip it, and I used to get bruises on my shins from when the thing hit you.
It was a crazy time to be alive. Like we had
You can't play with your candy. Wrong, old man.
we had a yo-yo that would wind itself called the yo-yo ball.
Yep. Hey, man, it's a yo-yo ball.
It's so much fun and easy to do because wherever it goes, it comes back to you. You don't need skill to use the yo-yo ball. It literally was just like a spring that kept it wound constantly, so you could do whatever. Like it was the lazy man's yo-yo.
So you couldn't do any tricks or anything.
You could do around the world, like anything you needed to do. You had to keep it like at full tilt to keep it at the.
Yes, you
Had it
did.
like a lasso around your head.
Yeah, you couldn't do any like walk the dog or anything.
And it was a solid plastic ball, so if you started swinging that thing,
Oh yeah, it could do some
Someone's
damage.
dead.
We did some damage in our days.
I remember being able to get like those little pops from like all the arcades around here. You'd turn your tickets and be
Oh,
like, okay, here's
yeah.
explosives, kid.
Yeah, but you can still get those.
Yeah, actually, at Target, you had to be 18 to buy them.
What?
Yep.
Here's an experiment if you want to. This is parental discretion advised, kids. If you're a child, look away. But if you unwrap all those little pops and pour out those blast crystals into a single sheet of single ply toilet paper, you can make one giant pop.
How was that for you?
Pretty radical. Kind of, as you can imagine, kind of anticlimactic because it takes a while to unwrap and empty 250 little packets. And so it's a very simple but very loud boom, and then
And that's it.
did it.
It broke the windows.
Yeah, and then you're left with it makes a pretty big
Mess.
no, not mess, but like spark, because you know how sometimes you'll see a little spark on the little ones. Pow! Like still underwhelming and not worth your time, but it's an option. That's what I'm telling you. If you're one of those people whose parents buy single ply toilet paper, I am sorry, but good news: the silver lining has arrived.
Oh no! Now that I have a bidet, the toilet paper is basically for drying my butt, and I still will not buy single ply.
Ugh. I don't understand how people can think so poorly of their assholes. When you go to somewhere and you maybe it's just maybe this is it. Maybe it's just the guest bathrooms that receive the single ply. But still, when you go somewhere and it's like a residence, it's not a business. It's not the place you work where they're buying it in 9,000
Super cheap,
feet.
yeah.
And you can still see flecks of bark in it. This is a residential person, a commercial, whatever. Still, and you'll see, and it'll be like that type that's not only thin but rigid, where one sheet will stand up like a 2x4.
Yep.
Who
You have to swipe it like a credit card.
when your asshole is concerned, saving $1 is not worth it. Like every time you wipe, you're reminded that's $1 that could be stretched a penny at a time right across your tender butt. But no, you had to be like, I'm saving some money. And I kid you not, when I said the bark thing in the toilet paper was no joke, because one time at work, I found a piece of wood in the toilet paper, and I almost embedded it in my butt.
Embedded, you got a butt splinter?
Yeah, I was like, dude, getting ready to do my thing, unrolling it, getting it, assigning it information. And I'm like, what? This looks like a piece of wood. And I tried to blow it away because I was like, oh, maybe it fell from something. Wood's always falling from things where I work. And I was like, nope, that is in the toilet paper.
Wow.
That is gone.
Piece of wood.
Yep. That's why I erected it in memory of my butt. Planted in the dirt. Oh man, Andy, what movies have you watched recently?
None. I've been stressed out.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
I have. Here's something that I've been doing. Aside from reading all like the old classics or whatever to keep my mind off things, there are some old timey true crime channels that I'm really getting into,
Yeah.
and it's amazing because in like modern day true crime cases, it's they find the body, they have to tie it. It's months and or years between like the crime and the trial, and then beyond that they can spend appeals or whatever. All these old timey crimes are like at 8:30 in the morning, this woman stabbed her husband in the eye. By 9:30 they had found her, and 10 o'clock she was before a judge. By 11:30 they broke for lunch, and 3 o'clock the jury was disbanded, and after 13 minutes of deliberation they hung her at 9.
Wow.
And that's every case. Like, and most of them are poisonings because that's like the basic thing to do back in Victorian times was like poison everybody. They couldn't get enough of it.
It's the easiest
But
way.
it's always that. It's like, and there's always an appeal. It's like they said an appeal, but the magistrate was like, I don't take kindly to people who murder, and they just hang them.
Older timey stuff. If you have like an Xbox or PlayStation, you can get the app shoutfactory.tv.
Oh, really?
They have all the old Mystery Science Theaters
Oh,
with
okay.
commercials, but
Yeah. Well, whatever.
but they also have pretty much every Japanese Power Rangers since the 12th season.
Woof.
Wow.
I was
And
never a
it
Power
can,
Rangers
like some of
fan.
those, we watched the one that we still haven't finished the first season because you can only watch so much of that before you go, huh. It's called Jetman. It's about aliens that make monsters, but the monsters, one of the episodes, it's like, and all the monsters are called like blank dimension.
What?
Because I don't know, dimension must have sounded cool in English to them.
Oh, maybe.
So like,
okay.
this guy is the monster I'm talking about is called Clothing Dimension, and it's a walking, talking sewing machine who sews costumes, and then he
Okay.
throws them at people, and they become whatever he sewed.
Let me ask you this about Japanese culture because it is prevalent. They take very basic things and just leave them as is. Case in point, like everybody who gets into Dragon Ball Z, once you realize what Goku, what Vegeta, what these things mean, you're like, okay, that's very simplistic. And they always, what am I trying to say is like there's no veneer. Like in Mario games, you go to like Food World or whatever. Like there's never any metaphor. It's like what you're fighting doesn't really symbolize anything. It's just like you're fighting a giant loaf of bread. You're fighting a giant sewing machine. And
Yep.
that's a weird thing that only happens in Japanese things.
But David, one of the monsters was an actual giant cup noodle that made people impatient and angry because if you're eating cup noodles, obviously you don't have time to do anything.
Right. The busiest times of my life, I look back, were typically when I was clutching a cup of noodles. But whatever. That's weird. But that's the thing. I was never a Power Rangers fan. Like, they came if they showed up on the scene here maybe 3 years earlier, sure, great. But I was resolutely a Ninja Turtles and of that era.
But the Ninja Turtles met the Power Rangers.
Right, but I don't care about that. The Power Rangers were kind of wussy and not very. I still, as a child, gravitated toward the darker things, and even though after the first movie the Turtles lost their edge, they still lived in the sewer. They still lived in a dirty place. It still was literally dirty, if not metaphorically, like down and gritty and dirty and whatever. So, like, the Power Rangers were always just like, hey, we're 5 hip teens and we live in Angel Grove and everything's super cool and like we have 2 bullies, but everybody pretty much gets along. We all learn a lesson.
I was gonna say even then the bullies are just kind of dumb guys. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think they're just dumb.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And even back then I liked my characters a little deeper than just surface level, like go team. And even the bad guys are actually pretty good. Like,
it's still interesting to me, like the first Ninja Turtles movie. I don't think I would have liked that. Like, if replace it with any other thing. At the time, I was into Ninja Turtles, but that movie was not like the action-filled laser fest that I would have expected as a child.
It was but that's that. I think that's to the movie's credit. The first Ninja Turtle movie is a good film that happens to be about Ninja Turtles. It is a family story. It is a story of derision by a third party, the Shredder. Like it's a. It's a good story that just happens to have giant mutants in it. And that's the thing. People give children's movies a pass because they say, well, it's for kids. That's for kids. I don't give a shit. The Ninja Turtles movie was for kids. It was a good movie. Take the Turtles out. Instead of the Turtles and Splinter, it's like a family of 4 brothers, and their dad is kidnapped.
Who live in the sewer, yeah.
Yeah, keep the sewer. I don't give a shit. Just take away the fact that they're mutants, and like Splinter is now a human, and the Turtles are now humans. It's still a good movie. It's still a lineage.
My wife has never seen 3 Ninjas.
I cannot. If you're going to be like, that's a necessary classic to watch, I will not be able to back you up there.
The only thing I remember about it is like 2 kidnappers come to get them and they give them diarrhea.
Yes, they give them diarrhea.
And the scene where the kid is kicking the dummy in the junk over and over.
Yeah. So the guy who I think he was like Francis's servant in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, that big Asian guy, whatever.
He's in Tremors?
No.
Not the grandpa?
No, the younger guy. Anyway, moral of the story is the only thing I remember about that movie is them, because every time you would hit the dummy they set up in the places the dude told them to, it would light up the eyes. So every time they would hit this dude, they would go like chop him in the neck, and they would cut to a picture of or a scene of the dummy with the eyes lighting up. And since they were like, the grandpa's like strike here, and the lights go, the neck, and he moved down, and of course the last one is like bam, knee to the nuts, and the eyes light up, so you know where this is going. But as a kid, you're like, get to the nuts, because they're like chop to the neck, eyes. It's like right under the tit, and it's like eyes, and it's like in the belly, it's like eyes. You're like, here come the balls, and then he goes wham, and he goes ding, 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 and he's like, boy. The nuts were a great source of comedy in the 90s. Like, they were 2 unending comedy factories. You could kick them all over the place. It was, the golden era of nut-based comedy of the 90s.
I used to watch Recess.
I love Recess.
Yeah, Recess was great. It's a little latter day.
Yeah, Hey Arnold. I used to watch Hey Arnold.
But that's what everybody seems to overlook is all the children's media that you watch doesn't have to suck. Like Recess was made for kids, but the story and the plot elements were complex enough. The characters were interesting enough that as a young adult, I found it interesting to watch. So it chaps my ass when people watch like a Despicable Me or a Minions. I'm like, well, it's for kids. Why does it get a pass? Why do you not have to literally write a story or anything? Like, your characters are one-dimensional and there's no resolution to anything at the end.
I do have to start wrapping up, but I can give you an explanation for that.
Money and things are cute.
Well, exactly, and people don't care what their kids consume. Like, it's the same with kids' books. You're supposed to be buying your kids' books that have, like, not morals. Like, people always buy their kids' books with morals, but like interesting elements and character. Like, nothing. It doesn't have to have morals as long as the story was interesting. But they're like, nah. Look, I got him like a Bible, action Bible.
You need to be challenged. Like, that's why we always come back, and everybody has probably had an impacted ass full of it. But we always come back to The Last Unicorn and yada yada yada. These big things. Because they made us question ourselves. They made us look at these things and be like, oh, that's weird. Like, when you look back and you think, oh, what were the things that I took away as a child? It's not going to be those bland ass, like, whatevers. Like, the first Ninja Turtles movie, I remember because it, there are relationships, there are characters, there's conflict.
There's a whole 20 minutes where they're just nursing a dying person in a bathtub.
And the sub arc, the subplot rather, of Casey Jones and April, like their tempestuous relationship that eventually ends in like a, let's just get it over with. Like, we know what was happening. This bond is built. And then you get to the second one, and there's no real stakes raised. It's all very soft. The two monsters are babies. There's no real harm involved. Everybody's very happy, and it's not
They've hired
good.
David Warner.
That was their one saving grace. They did two things right. They hired David Warner, and they got Vanilla Ice to do a ninja rap. Everything else, though, was a fucking disaster, including how they handled the Super Shredder. We don't need to get into it. Everybody knows my opinion on the Super Shredder. Fuck you, Secret of the Ooze. So pissed. Oh my god.
Powerful words.
What a great
for a movie that always makes me hungry for pizza.
Only the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, when it's going
and they're kissing and they're turning and it's like whatever. So what also best action figure, Super Shredder, by far and away. Anywho, Andy says he's got to wrap it up because he's got diarrhea. So
no, I have to cook dinner for my lovely wife who's returning from work.
That's just a cover. He has diarrhea. He told me
I poop while I do it. I got a nice adult diaper.
He said my diarrhea medicine is kicking in literally 8 minutes.
It's a medicine that gives me diarrhea.
Yeah. He takes it and it takes 48 minutes to kick in, and he took it 40 minutes ago. So, Andy, do you want to give people like a staff recommendation or like a plug? You want to plug something? I don't know. What you want to something you've been enjoying that other people you think should? I'm still meaning to check out Hades, so one day.
We plowed through all of Owl House on Disney Plus.
What is Owl House?
A story about a young girl who goes through a magic portal to like Demon World and wants to become a magician. There's a lot more to it than that, but it's cute and that was my election day. I'm not watching anything but this.
Yeah, everybody has a certain flavor of junk food they like, and
yeah, mine's Chopped.
Yeah, I some people like something that's like extremely formulaic. Like I would have been Chopped, like House, SVU. That's all in the same ilk.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be conflict, but you also know that it will be 100% resolved in the end. Mm-hmm. It's a diamond art. I would rather watch something that I'm unsure about. And when you see a giant bird with huge saggy cans, you are unsure.
You will no longer be sure about anything.
Yeah. You are shaken to your very core. Everything you thought you knew has now been tested because a giant bird has made you feel some strange things.
And then it murders an old woman.
Yeah. And you're like, okay. She deserved it though, so I was fine with that.
Yeah, probably.
I guess I'll just plug like the merch store if you want to like support Heart, the homeless animal rescue team here in Arizona. The hashtag Be Like Popeye merch is out there. Anything that says Be Like Popeye goes to the Heart rescue. The Flamingo Friday stuff for every Friday in your life. We've got that covered. I'm not wearing anything right now because I'm going patriotic with my Captain
He is
America.
naked.
I'm not wearing anything regarding the show.
And it's also not Friday, so.
And it's not Friday, so whatever. It's spur of the moment.
Hey, if anybody likes wine, I sell wine now. And every every bottle of wine that's purchased, a
We'll get you
portion
drunk.
goes to charity.
Did anybody want one of these pugs? By the way,
There's like nobody here.
okay.
My mom's here.
Well,
We've been talking to each other, which is fine.
yeah. I mean, people will come later.
My mom said she shopped in the merch store today.
Yep. So if you
I
buy
saw like I got alerts.
Yeah.
It's like people are buying stuff from you.
if you buy something, it'll show up in the Discord. So we'll give you a shout out. So there was another anonymous one too. So shout out.
They were all anonymous, and they were all my mom.
Well, there was one before that, before your mom bought anything.
Okay.
So, whatever. You want to support us, there's a way. If you don't, whatever. Doesn't matter.
If you don't, fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you. If you're listening for free, you're an asshole.
And a nerd.
No, like that's, whatever. Give, don't give. We're here regardless. And remember, just 2 pugs. I probably have to save one for Mary, so maybe just one. Any way, guys.
Any guys.
Any
This
guys.
truly is kicking in.
Oh, the one truly
Yeah.
That
but
his
David's
baby
so drunk.
for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I feel so weird. Is there so much booze and berries?
So much.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I'm always bad. I'm gonna have to write in like an end script. Maybe I'll get Mod Kayla. She's our supervising script summarizer or something.
Sure.
So maybe I'll have her write me like a nice outro speech. Here's the thing: everybody who has a job on this show is really phoning it in. We haven't got a single meme from our senior memeologist in like 40 years, and our mixologist hasn't mixed anything except for a martini.
Mm.
It was a good martini, though.
I cannot confirm a martini was mixed. Full disclosure.
Shipped it right to me. It gets shaken up in the post office, so
Yeah, I
when it
guess.
arrives to you, it's
You just sort of put an X through all the things that say fragile.
yep.
Say Jim Carrey this shit. That's what I put under special instructions. I say Jim Carrey it.
Give me a real Ace Ventura for this bitch.
Okay, so guys, thanks for watching. If you did, thanks for watching in the future. If you did, then you can't do it in the past. So until next time, we'll just do it like the old days. I'm Dave,
I'm Krista.
I'm Andy.
saying we'll see you next time when my kid
Now
is
that the kid's asleep.
is asleep to bed. Bye.
Bye.
Sleep bed. Bye.